Hello, and once again... Oh, sorry, that was
That was very high, wasn't it?
I started off to...
It was like somebody startled you just as we did that.
Yes. Hello, and welcome to Albumble, where we... I've got lost. Sorry.
Is this a bit difficult for you?
No. You startled. Well, no, you.
I did not startle.
Right, okay.
Look, you've been able to see my hands the whole time.
Right. Hello, and welcome to Albumble, where we review the albums we didn't get to do the first time around. I'm Anne.
And I'm not. Hooray!
Do we have any roundup news at all?
Roundup news? I don't believe so.
Not a Housewife is now no longer number one on the Afrakening.
That is true,
Because Dan told them not to vote for it.
There was a rather entertaining message went out on Facebook from Dan to say, folks, would you please stop voting for my song with Glints, Not a Housewife, to no longer be number one in Studio Brussels' chart countdown Die Afrekening, because I've got new stuff to release and I want to get on with it. So it was knocked off this Saturday by Fontaines DC. Oh.
Eurovisions ever, do you think?
Oh,
would that be entertaining?
God, that would be marvellous.
Yes, right. So that's the news.
Yeah, there you
go. Right, so it was your choice this time.
Yes.
And you chose Coach Party with Killjoy, not the other way round.
No, not Kilroy with
Coach Trip
spewing racist bollocks through a coach party. Although I'm sure that's happened in a hotel somewhere in Cheam.
Yes. So, should we get on with talking about it?
Yes, let's have a wander through it, shall we? So I don't know whether I preface this by telling you what I knew about them when I bought this album.
Yep.
They're an indie band from the Isle of Wight.
Okay.
Who had released 3 EPs prior to this album, which I own 2 of those, which are called After Party and Nothing Is Real.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just like how they do things. About not every one of their songs chimes with me brilliantly.
No.
But I think they've got a good energy about them. They've got a good creativity, and you're never quite sure what direction things are going in, which is, I'm sure, a theme that we're going to get to.
I did. A lot of it was a very similar feeling. Yeah. That most of it is quite good. There's a few that I just don't quite get. Yeah. But the topology, if you were, is very... It's not samey.
No.
There are a couple of songs which are samey, but they're not next to each other.
No.
Or, you kind of... you have to keep your ear tuned in.
Yeah. And I would say this album is more that style of doing things than the EPs were. Yes. The EPs were more sort of... I think one's 5 songs, one's 6.
Yeah.
And they're sort of this small body of work. Effectively, they've already done an album's worth of material easily. And this effectively is could even be a second album. So anyway, the album opens with "What's the Point in Life?"
Yeah. So obviously that's quite a negative title.
Yeah.
But I don't actually think the song is necessarily negative.
Right.
I feel like it's more a kind of, what's the point in life? So just get on and do it.
Yeah.
Rather than what's the point in life?
Yeah.
I quite like the staccato-ness of the verses.
Yeah.
As opposed to the more lyrical quality of the choruses. That is a theme that there seems to be quite a lot of talky bits in a lot of their songs.
I think that's quite a lot of...
Is that a modern indie trope?
There is quite a lot of stuff. You've heard that we obviously listen to Welly quite a bit as well.
Marcus's favourite band, Welly.
The band from Portsmouth, who are excellent as well. Haven't released an album yet, so we can't talk about them that much. But there's obviously more successful bands. I've already mentioned Fontaine's DC, who do that in some of their songs, and Yard Act as well have been particularly successful, and that he has quite a talky style in some of his stuff. So I think it's something that is very prevalent at the moment in indie music, in bands that Steve Lamacq likes. And that obviously that's where I found out about Coach Party, was being played on Steve Lamacq's show. I guess that's
where you
it's where I used to get a lot of my music recommendations from, and so it's a good opener to an album. It's very much setting out your table, and saying, here we go, here's a fast indie pop song, which has various meaning to it and different things. So track 2 is Parasite.
So it turns it turns quite heavy. I feel quite quickly after something that's a bit more poppy. Almost. Quite dark, slightly. Well, I say slightly. It is quite distorted.
Yes.
The vocal has a lot of heavy production, kind of Loudhailer-esque.
Yes. Yeah.
And is much more direct and angry.
Yes.
There's not little... You know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Whilst in the first one you feel, oh, what do they mean?
Yeah.
This one is much more...
Furious,
in your face, direct.
Yeah.
This is how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that if you picture this album as a wave... it starts off with these stark contrasts between the tracks.
Yes.
Which gradually eases off as we go through the album. And I think this is deliberately there to say, ah!
Yes.
And sort of, right, we've started you off, we've told we've told you what to expect, now here's a bloody nose.
Yes.
So, that leads us into the rather lower tempo, Born Leader.
So this is, I would say, this is the kind of song that would be on the indie chart in the 90s.
Yeah.
This is a kind of mid-90s Britpop, girl-fronted type, sleeper type thing.
What have I written there? There we go.
It's got, now I've used the word here because it isn't this, but I don't know how else to describe it. It has that kind of millennium whoop chorus. Just call me.
Yeah.
That isn't the millennial whoop.
No.
But it's like that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I got slightly confused by this song, possibly because I was trying to... I think this was the track where I went, I don't mean this in a bad way. I don't think this is meant for me. I think this is, like, younger me would have gone, oh yeah, I know what this is like, I feel this kind of thing. Like, I'm a bit over that now.
Okay.
Not in a negative way. I just felt like I felt a bit distanced from it.
Right, okay.
At this song.
Okay. You see, I think I've come to this style of music more in the past 10 years than I was much before that.
Yes.
I've always liked a good out and out pop song or an out and out indie pop song, but I think I've come to that style of thing a lot more in the last 10 years. And whilst there are some things that I don't get and I think this is not for me, I think perhaps I find it a lot more accessible than you do.
Okay.
So, I really like the confidence of the chorus in this as well. That's not a chorus that you could make if you're not confident about what you're doing. And I really like how positive that is. And how much that goes. Track 4 is Microaggression.
So my one comment that I've written for this is a one-sided argument. Which, you know, it's like she's talking to somebody.
Yeah.
But you're not hearing the other side. Yeah. Which I'm not saying is a negative. I'm just writing that's the style of writing for this. Yeah. It is a little bit like Parasite, but it is much more structured and much more measured.
You know what I was saying about the wave?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking, because this is very much the more measured and rational response that Parasite perhaps isn't.
Yes.
But I like it. It's snarky, spiky and furious.
Yes, like a lot of the tracks on here, they're very short.
Yes.
Short and sharp.
I've got to be honest, the whole album is short.
Yes, it's very short.
It comes in at 27 minutes and change. Yeah. And also, and this is the only vinyl album I think I've ever had which plays at 45 RPM. Because obviously they've decided if we do that at 33,
it's going to be tiny.
Use half of it. And I mean, obviously it sounds lovely.
Yes.
So the final track on side 1 is July. So,
whereas the first song had a negative title, but to me felt positive. Yeah. To me, this sounds like a positive song. Yeah. But actually, when I listened to it, it felt quite negative. Yeah. Like the everything has changed. I don't want to change. Yeah. It was a bit. It felt a bit questioning. Yeah. Like, is that right? You know, just because everything's changed, do you have to change, or do you have to change with the times? Yeah. Do you have to change as a person? Yeah. It's a lot more, maybe not negative is the word, but it's more unsure. Yeah.
I think from what you said earlier about this being a different generation that have made this album, July is obviously when academic years end. Yes. And perhaps it's that sort of, we're coming to the conclusion of something there and not wanting to have to take a step and make a change beyond that. Yeah. So I think that's possibly what it's about. But again, a very bright sounding lot. I think there's a lot more depth to it than I get through the lyrics as well. So, okay. We turn over the album and we put on side 2, which opens with "Be That Girl."
So, I've said that this to me sounds like a very Manchester jangly. I feel like this could have been an Oasis song. I can hear Liam Gallagher. And I'm tired of overthinking. It feels, again, it sounds positive, but again is slightly questioning again. Yeah. There's a lot of kind of, am I overthinking? Yeah. You know, not feeling sure about yourself. Yeah. Which again kind of follows that trajectory of the album, being confident and then angry and then slightly kind of, oh, did I do the right thing? Oh, I don't know what I'm doing.
I think that that roller coaster of emotions is far more believable
than
someone who just comes out giving it I'm always confident, I'm always brilliant, I'm fantastic. So I like that about it, that it's not one tone all the way through. It's All I Want to Do Is Hate, which is also track 7 on the album. But I thought I'd just take this opportunity to make that confession. Why don't you start?
Because I've started all the time.
Again, this is, I think, our third entry into the grungy era, which I don't know whether this is taking direction from what we think of as sort of early 90s grunge and the first wave of it, or whether this is taking references from somewhere else, because it's difficult to know with modern bands. But again, it's I particularly the bit that got my interest in this song was the clapping earworm. Oh right, okay.
Which is not indie. It's not. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
You wouldn't expect to find it in this sort of...
No, it's more kind of 60s-ish.
Yeah.
Or it's kind of more poppy rather than indie.
Yeah.
So that was the bit that kind of that part was a slight kind of jump from the norm of that genre.
Yeah.
But the kind of clipped vocals, and it starts to obviously become a bit more defiant.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like all I want to do is hate, but it feels like you're doing that because you're angry.
Yeah.
Not because you actually want to hate somebody. You're doing it out of spite.
I think this is a response to somebody else, and I think this is mocking them to an extent. To say, this is how you behave. Yes. This is what you're doing. And this is how it sounds to me.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with that. Hi Baby is track 8.
Okay, right. Admission.
Go on.
This is the only song I've written nothing for.
Okay.
Because I have nothing to say about it.
Oh, all right.
I really like the music.
Yeah.
But I think the lyrics are extremely trite.
Yeah.
Compared with everything that's gone on.
Okay.
And I don't know whether that's the trajectory of the album.
Yeah.
Of like trying to be, or this feels like something nondescript American woman from the 2020s would sing about.
Okay.
Which I guess is what this is.
Yeah. But it's... I think they've possibly made a decision that they want something on there that sounds quite bubblegummy.
Yes, it is quite...
And quite electro and possibly a bit commercial.
Yeah,
I don't think it's been done for that reason.
No. I mean, at least it does show that there is a different side.
Yeah, yeah.
But, just because you can...
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you should.
Okay, we shall move on then.
If you've got anything to say, if you've got anything you want to add that I've missed.
I think the second side of the album, the waves get much less in amplitude.
Yes.
And the veering off between sounds is less than it is on the first side. So I don't think that necessarily there is as much to say about side 2 of the album as there is for side 1. So yeah, I don't...
Okay.
Track 9 is All of My Friends.
So we go back into the slightly teenage angst.
Yeah.
About future prospects and your self-perception.
Yeah.
With your friends.
Yeah.
I also, because I started thinking quite quickly about, this isn't for a middle-aged woman, this is more like a youngster. I then started thinking, well, obviously now you've got the addition of social media perception.
Yeah.
I can see the word friends.
Yeah.
As being just people I follow on Insta.
Yeah.
All of my friends are doing it right. But they probably look like they're doing it right on the screen, but they're probably, in the shower crying every night kind of thing. The chorus, I've used the word dysfunctional.
Yeah.
But in a slidey guitared Breeders-esque way.
Yeah. I must admit, I hadn't thought about the Breeders.
It feels a bit like it's gone wrong. Those notes shouldn't fit together.
Yeah.
The way that it should.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
What anything?
I like the cultural references in there, which I'm sure they are not old enough to,
yes.
to get.
Yeah.
I think my favourite one was about the Nintendogs.
Nintendogs.
Which was...
Aww.
I think that was a Game Boy game that came out after...
Wow.
Hold on, shall I Google that?
Yeah, should we do some live Googling?
Live Googling. But I thought that came out sort of pre-2000. Obviously, they may have been playing with an older...
Well, yeah. If they had older brothers and sisters, or
yeah,
had a parent who was into that kind of thing.
Apparently, Nintendogs was first released April 2005.
Oh, so they might have...
So perhaps it was... Nintendo DS.
Oh, okay.
All right, it was a bit later than I was thinking then. So, well, that completely
no.
But it's...
We'll pretend.
I like the fact that even younger people are doing nostalgia.
Yes.
And it's Anthony Schmierick's song where he says, I'm nostalgia porn. I'm a list of things that you had when you were younger, ranked to make you smile.
Yeah.
And it's
yes.
And I think there is so much of that goes on that younger people obviously pick up on it and say,
yeah,
oh, we want some of that as well.
Yes. So
yeah. The final track is Always Been You, which I think is potentially a love song.
Yeah. Now, I found first of all, I'm going to go with the biggie bit.
Go on.
That, the end bit. And it's always been me.
Yeah.
And all I could see was the ending of Bugsy Malone. You give a little love and
that's a bit harsh.
But this tune is very similar.
Bonnie Langford not included.
Yeah, yes. However, that line in particular is, I think, slightly ambiguous.
Yeah.
Because it's like, is it my fault? Or is it yours?
Yeah.
Has it always been me for you, or has it always been me for you?
Yeah.
Kind of. So it kind of ends on, you've been through this roller coaster of emotions, and there's still a little bit of ooh.
Yeah.
at the end.
But then I think the when you're listening to something like this, which isn't direct pop music,
yes,
there has to be some ambiguity about it.
Yeah.
It cannot be just crass straight out.
No.
Because otherwise it would be American.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
yes, I like the fact that they finish it off with something that sounds vaguely like a love song.
Yeah.
Which I don't think after the first 2 or 3 tracks you would be expecting that at all.
No.
So and it's I think it's a nice place to be, and it doesn't outstay its welcome.
No.
As a whole, it's a little bit disjointed from particularly the first side where you're
all over the
jumping
place.
between genres. I will say that they didn't rehash any of the songs from their first 3 EPs to go onto this album. So yeah, I think it's reasonable to say that this could have easily have been their second album.
Yeah.
I think the EPs possibly hold better together as collections of songs of a moment. But I like how we get caught out a bit by the changes of pace and style, which it means you're not going to get bored listening to 10 songs which are the same.
Yes. Which
is a problem I've had with a couple of albums that I've listened to recently by bands who... you listen to one amazing song that they've had played on the radio or has been recommended, and you think, this is fantastic. And you think, I can't wait to listen to this album. Then you listen to the album and realise there's 12 mediocre songs and there's one really good one. And it just feels like a bit of a... This doesn't do that. It gets in, makes its point, makes its points, and is done. So
it's quite cohesive with bits that go up and down from the curve. Yeah. But still feels like it's the same band.
Oh, yeah.
Doing the same things, just in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
And I guess that then guarantees that, number one, the album is different, but also guarantees that there will be things on there people will like, because there are some songs that are joined together in some way or form throughout the album.
Yeah.
So if you like one, you're going to like tracks this, that and the other. Whilst if you don't like that one, there's another few tracks that you are going to like.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I will say is I haven't been to see them live.
No.
I get the feeling if I did, I would be the oldest person in the room by a good 15 years.
Yeah.
I might be wrong about
that.
No,
you never know.
I do know... I do know other people in my demographic, who still watch a lot of live music, particularly of this sort of band. So I might be wrong, but anyway, that brings us to our... Well, we've sort of done the conclusion anyway, haven't we? So,
if I'm honest, I probably would not listen to that album as a whole again.
Okay.
But there are songs that I would definitely kind of clip and have...
Yeah. Now, obviously, I will say at this point, there are songs off this album that possibly would have made it into the summer mixtape this year.
Yeah.
But they're a bit sweary.
Yes, that is very, very true.
It would have taken a fair bit of editing, so I didn't with those.
No.
But anyway, we will now have a look at where we're going next.
Now, before I tell you where we're going... I just need to warn you and the listeners that there will be some extra podcasts coming up soon, because Marcus, our 9-year-old, has told us that we're reviewing the Junior Eurovision songs this year. So during October-y, possibly a bit of November-y, we'll be putting those in the mix as well.
Oh, good.
Oh, good. But Marcus picks them, because he picked the winner a couple of years ago.
He picks his nose as well.
And he picked who came second last year. So
that means he's slipping.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He'll be lucky to get top 4 this year.
Yeah. Anyway, so just to warn you, if you there may well be some extra.
Is that going to be on this feed?
Possibly.
Or will that be
I might put them in there just to...
Rather than on the armchair feed?
Yeah, they might go in there. We'll see.
Okay, right.
Right. I've been umming and ahhing about this one.
Right.
Because this act has been on my list.
Should I brace myself?
No. Because this is one of those I guarantee I know you're going to like this album. I already know that.
Right.
But it's the timing.
Right, okay.
So I've been umming and ahhing about this, and I think the timing is now right. So I would like you to listen to what is at the moment the last album, but isn't going to be the last album, because there is an album incoming.
Okay.
So I would like you to listen to what is, at the moment, the last album by...
The suspense is killing me.
By Joost Klein.
Okay.
Which is Friesland.
Okay.
Now, it's a relatively short album. I think it's about 37 minutes.
Right.
So it's in Dutch.
Yeah.
So if you are listening to this at home, I would absolutely find the lyrics and translate them.
Okay.
So that you understand what he's talking about.
So you kunnen de teksten verstaan?
Yes. You won't, because you'll be able to read it.
Oh, yeah, all right.
But yes. Obviously, everything that happened at Eurovision and stuff and bits and
I still
things.
think about that.
Okay, I think you're not the only one. You're not the only one.
Whenever I hear that song, because you know that works for me on so many levels. And whenever I hear that, I think this was a real moment.
Yes. And you took it away from us, Martin Österdahl.
Okay. It's all right.
But I think as well, this album, for those people who maybe only know Joost for Europapa,
yeah,
this album in particular, although it's not actually my favourite album of his.
Okay.
I was actually going to give you a different one of his albums, but this one seems to make more sense in terms of what people know about Joost Klein.
Okay.
Is that when you listen and read and hear this album, you uncover a lot about Joost as a person.
Yeah.
That you then go, I can see where the whole Europapa thing came about.
Yeah.
So I know you're going to like the album before we've even started.
Seems a fair chance.
But, yeah.
Okay, right, so...
Right.
Joost Klein, Friesland for episode 7.
Yep.
And hopefully we will see you there.
Yes, right, we'll see you, yeah.
Why did you just look at your watch?
2 weeks' time.
Does your watch do fortnights?
No, I don't know.
I'm just wondering.
I don't know.
Okay.
Right, should we say goodbye? Goodbye.
Thanks,
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens. Dag.